This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express Monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's pod. This is the show for the week of June 27th, 2022. This week in our Disney World, everyone is talking about the holidays, which is appropriate for June. But they have just announced a lot of the dates, a lot of the party information, so we're going to go over a lot of that. We're going to talk about a lot of planning elements of what's going on, because a lot of us is going to be down there during that time. Also, we've got our top 5 rides to skip on your next trip or your first trip. So if we're giving advice, right, we're telling people what you should skip. Or at least that's how I took it.
Yep, same here.
We got a new and old attractionality, Mine Train, that we're catching up on. And which I think, as I see this, like I read the opinions on this ride across the internet, they're not as glowing as you think they are. So that's something.
Or as the line would seem to indicate, right?
Yes, of course. And then we have some Discord server discussion topics to show up, which have to do with bars and lounges again, which is something that I like coming back to over and over again. So I'm not. But before we get into that, Phil, what is going on this week's DCI?
Yeah, so the big change for the DCI this week, because we are up to 86.35%, is that Hoop-Dee-Doo returned. And that's something we actually probably could have added to what is everybody talking about, because obviously Hoop-Dee-Doo is back, and they did make some changes to the shows. Overall, very minor, but a lot of little things that I think, just updating for the times and cultural sensitivities, and not even just that, but some other things I think made sense to change. But overall, the same, the heart of the show, the bulk of the show is still there. So that's great to see. Matt also recently tweeted out what he has on his docket. He says everything that's coming up. So there's quite a few new things coming up, whether it's the minivans returning or a number of characters coming back. So, through say mid-July, that sort of thing, we'll see a little bit of an uptick to the DCI. So hopefully, by the end of the summer, we might be pushing 90%, but I guess we'll see.
We'll see. All right, thanks, Phil. And so in our Disney World, like we mentioned, a lot of people are talking about the holidays. We're going to jump right in on that. Why don't, in your old capacity, give us the news of the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party?
Yeah, so this past week was halfway to the holidays, I guess. So Disney Parks was putting out a bunch of news, and I guess Thursday was the big day where a lot of news came out about what they were going to celebrate at the Disney Parks around the world. The bulk of it, I think, or at least the bulk that we're interested in, because that's where we're going and where we're going to be, is at Walt Disney World. The big news is that they are going back to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party instead of the holiday after hours event that they had last year, which I think is not a surprise to people after the Halloween party kind of went back to the old format. Mm-hmm. So we are back to the structure where the parties, the Magic Kingdom will be closing early, say 4 days a week, so that the party can start at 7 p.m. each night. And if you have a party ticket, you can get in at 4. But it obviously, like you said, the planning element is now, are you going to go to a party? If you're not going to a party, do you want to avoid Magic Kingdom if you're going to get kicked out? Things like that. So obviously a lot of planning around that. And then, so I don't know if you want to talk more about that element or touch on what they announced for at the other parks.
I think this is a good topic, because this is what everybody's really talking about at the Christmas party. There's other things that more likely we'll mention interest in, but I don't think we're planning for those things until we're a lot closer to the event.
There's one other thing that I guess I'll tease this out. There's one other item that I do want to talk about and get your opinion on, but let's focus on the party for now.
Okay. So I absolutely hate these party events, right? only one point of view is because I hate how they close the park early and basically make that a useless park day for most people. I feel bad about it, right? However, it is a good opportunity, because one of the first questions you have in our show notes is, will you attend? And yes, I am going, as of right now, until I see the bill when I enter my credit card in to buy the tickets. The only reason why I do this is because I've done the Halloween party, and I'll never do that again, because I saw it, I experienced it, and I'm happy with my time there. And I don't think my kids are missing too much of not going. Okay. And we've talked about that before as well. The Christmas party I have not done. Christmas is my favorite time of the year, much like a lot of other people. So I'm eager to try it out, and I'm willing to bet this is the cheapest party I'll ever be able to go to because the prices are only going to go up.
The prices are definitely not going down.
No,
in the future years, so.
Unless somebody buys me, $1,000 worth of tickets or whatever for my whole family, which is not going to happen. So the question becomes: is it worth the cost, right? And you get a couple. I don't know, planning benefits. They're not benefits because of money, but benefits because of how the things are done. Mm-hmm. I'm going down for 7 nights, 8 days in my next trip. I bought a pack of 6 tickets, I want to say. So we don't have a park day, the day of arrival, and the day of leaving. So that being said, this acts like a hopper pass, essentially, for one of the parks. So the way we're planning it is, and it's the same day that you're doing Animal Kingdom, I'm doing Animal Kingdom, and then I'm going to go over to the park at like 4 o'clock or whenever it turns out to be. So I'm able to do 2 parks in one day. I really wish, though, Phil, that it was like the after hours. Like you can go throughout the parks, and then you can either just stay for the extra bucks and stay later. I know you were kind of wavering by buying it. Where are you right now?
So for right now, we are not planning on attending. This is sort of a quicker trip for us, and we're trying to fit in kind of what we can, and just adding a party for either our arrival night, which would be that Friday, or the same night you going on that Sunday. It feels like it would be pushing it. And then obviously the money is a big factor. I priced it out. So for my family of 5, it would be $885 plus tax to go to the party.
I think it's like $40 cheaper for me because all my kids are Disney adults.
Of my 3 kids, 2 of them are Disney adults.
Yeah.
So and just for those of you who don't know, the cheapest party is $149 for adults, $139 for kids. Goes all the way up to $199, $189 for kids for the most expensive party, which is the last 2. It's the most expensive nights are the same as for Halloween. However, the Halloween one, the cheaper nights started at $109. Here they start at $149, so $40 more than
it's
the
pricey,
Halloween party
for sure.
Yeah, and just to add, one other reason we're not doing it is we've never gone during the holidays, so there's still some holiday stuff going on in the parks during the day, the Jingle Cruise and the decorations. There's a lot at Epcot. There's some at Animal Kingdom, so we kind of feel like we're gonna get a whole bunch of new to us holiday stuff without having to pay for the party. If we had seen all those things and had never done the party, maybe it would be a little bit more motivation to do it, or if we were doing like a longer trip with fewer, more off days or something. But for the way it's structured now, we're not doing the party.
So you're talking sense. I mean, like I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm just thinking I'm just like throwing money at it.
Well,
this is my version of revenge travel, I guess. I don't know.
I see a lot of people are saying that. They're like, we've missed the party. We haven't gone. We want to go. I don't care what it costs. We're just doing it and enjoying ourselves,
I care what it costs.
Well, I shouldn't say I don't care what it costs, but like I'll suck it up and just have a great time is kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I like the whole. I hope it's like still snows in Main Street. I think that'll be awesome. I hope that because of if I'm going to spend the money, I hope the cost is cost prohibitive enough that it's not like jam packed with people. Because I guess that's the only other alternative was when you had the after parties. There were still a lot of people going comparatively. So at least there's that aspect of it. I haven't done too much research on what exactly is at this party other than what I remember it being advertised in the past.
And I do think the attendance is sort of a bit of an unknown because obviously last year with the after hours, that was specifically promoted as low crowds. And I had gone to one last year. It was low crowds. One of the biggest complaints with the parties prior to that was just how crowded they were getting. They were getting so crowded that if you wanted to meet characters, you were waiting in line for hours. The ride still had long lines. It was just hard to get a lot done. They have increased the price quite a bit from the last party time. So since 2019, are they just doing that and they're going to have the same crowds and just get away with it? Or are they going to cap it? Not like an after hours low, but at least a little bit lower than maybe where the parties had gotten to so that it's not overbearingly crowded. I mean, and you can actually still get stuff done.
The fact that they sold out the $110,000 trip around the world without it actually going on sale to the general public makes me think that these things are going to get sold out anyway.
Yep.
So I just hope that they do some kind of level of crowd management and not sell too many tickets.
Yeah.
Because if the parks are still a 7 or 8 for this type of event, I'm going to be very upset. And this might be the first time I go back to the hotel for a nap at this point, because Animal Kingdom should be done early afternoon, and maybe we go back and relax before we go over to the party.
Yeah.
Type of thing. Off the top of my head,
if you're there for rope drop at Animal Kingdom, going through the party, that's a long day.
That is a very long day. When does the party end? I don't have it open. Is it midnight for these?
So it starts at 7. Does it say?
Typically, it's 4 or 5 hours, isn't it? The parties.
It might only be till 11.
See,
it might be
that's
4
even
hours. Oh no, midnight. It's 7 to midnight.
Yep. So I thought.
And you can get in at 4.
So I hope that they also do 2 fireworks shows, kind of like they did the parties last year. So you get a parade.
Well, I think there'll only be one, because since the park's closing early, you're not getting
yes.
Enchantment that day.
Well,
so you're just going to get the holiday fireworks.
I would like them to do Enchantment and then do whatever comes after that.
Well, I would like them to do a lot of things they're not doing.
Because another thing that you don't have, I don't think you have on what everybody else is talking about, but people were talking about for when I'm going to go down in a couple of weeks, there's going to be 2 fireworks shows a night.
Yeah, that was just announced. It's only for it happens to be that week you're down there. They're doing Enchantment twice a day. They didn't really say why. I mean, there was some verbiage about due to for the benefit of the guests or something like that. So I don't know if they're just doing it because of how crowds have been and how they're expecting to be. I don't know if because now they're not showing Enchantment 4 nights a week once the parties start, if they have extra fireworks that are about to expire and they need to use them up. I don't know. But yeah, it's an interesting one. So
I mean, I'm now completely off script, off our show notes. So what would you do? Because we're going to be in Magic Kingdom, I think, almost every single night, except for the one night that we're at Epcot to see Harmonious. Would you go during the later one or the early one to actually see the show?
So if past trends continue, usually when there's multiple fireworks or multiple parades or multiple whatever, the later one is less crowded. So I would ride rides during the first one and then get a spot on Main Street for the second one.
That is my current plan. The good thing is I'll be at Magic Kingdom 3 nights that week, and if that's not true, because I only want to see the fireworks one night. I don't think we're gonna the wife and I are gonna jam up on Main Street every single time we're there, because Enchantment's not. If it was Happily Ever After, I probably would jam up in front of it and watch that show, but because it's not that, we're gonna have 2 opportunities for low lines, I think, during the show. So I'm kind of looking.
Yeah, and you could even take one day, and if you want to get out of the park for a little bit, maybe for the early ones, and then go watch it from the Poly Beach or something.
Something like that. Yeah, I think that might be pretty interesting. Okay, so moving on, you said there was some other stuff going on in the parks.
Yeah, they talked about some other parks. There's going to be decorations and some projections over in Hollywood Studios. One thing that wasn't announced is no Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam is not coming back. So that one might just be gone forever. At Animal Kingdom, there is the return of the Merry Menagerie, which I'm very excited to see. I haven't seen that in person. I know a lot of people really love that. And a lot, like I mentioned, a lot is coming back to Epcot. So they're going to have Candlelight Procession. No news about any of the narrators or anything yet, but that's coming back. The storytellers at the different countries, they're doing the Cookie Stroll, Festival of the Holidays, so all the booths and stuff like that. But the one item that I wanted to get your opinion on is they announced that they will be doing a holiday overlay to Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind.
That's awesome.
So instead of the 6 songs right now that they play, and you get one of the 6 songs, so it kind of has rewritability, you might get different songs, they're going to have one medley. So while you're going through, it's going to play 2, 3, 4 different holiday songs. And my understanding is that's it. So it's going to be the same thing every time you ride. So my question is, how do you feel about that?
In what respect?
Do you like that a ride that's brand new? And I'm asking this as somebody, this is going to be my first opportunity to ride it. Do you think a ride that's within its first year of operations, do you like having an alternate version for many people? This might be their first chance to ride it, and it's no longer having that element of, changing up the songs and stuff like that. Instead, it's just a holiday version of it.
I'm okay with it. Right, for a couple different reasons. One, if I'm thinking long term, right, this might be if I don't go back during Christmas time, this might be our only chance to go on it and with Christmas music, and that'd be kind of cool,
fair.
right?
That's a good angle. That's a good way to look at it.
Because this is not going to be your one and done. Like you're never not going to go on this.
It's not like I'm never
right?
going back to a Hollywood studio or to Walt Disney World. Right.
The type of music with the characters should blend in really well, right? I think it lends itself to some fun music and everything else. So I don't think it's going to be a bad experience.
The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special is coming to Disney Plus this year too, so I'm sure there'll be some
lots
overlap,
of tie-ins. Absolutely.
time between that. Yeah.
And the third aspect why I like this is that because I think more attractions should do this, right? For whatever, it doesn't have to be Christmas music, but for like 4th of July or whatever event that's coming up. I like the Imagineers giving rides and attractions the ability to have layovers that are easy to do and not lame, right? So even if this is just a change of music, hopefully maybe there's some graphics or some colors or some other stuff that's going on in the ride that makes it kind of unique for your experience going during a quote-unquote special time of the year. So for those reasons, I'm stoked. I'm probably going to be going on this in a couple weeks if I can. I'm assuming that 1 o'clock is still going to be a good time to snag one of the virtual queues. So I'm not going to have not going to be in your shoes, I guess. Yeah. So I don't mind that. Even though by the time we get on, I probably will be going on it once, and I won't have the time to see it 6 different times and all the different songs and stuff like that. But no, I'm all about it. What about? I mean, do you agree? What do you think?
So, in general, I really like the idea that they are doing an overlay to this attraction. I agree they should be doing it to more attractions, and I'm glad they're switching up a song to this because that was one thing I was like, okay, they have these 6 songs, but I hope that whether it's every 6 months they add another song, or like you keep kind of updating what the songs are. The only question thing is saying like for people in my spot, it's like, well, I'd like my first chance to be kind of the regular experience. And it kind of made me think, well, maybe that's why they don't do more overlays at Walt Disney World, because there's a lot of people that maybe only do once in a lifetime trips that want to see sort of the classic version of rides. But I think you make a really good point that, for me, that yes, it might be nice that my first experience is with the regular version, but all right, so I'll just reverse the order. And now I'm getting to do the
5 years from now, it's all going to be blended together.
Exactly.
Anyway, right?
It's really not going to matter. So I think that makes a good point. And I'd rather do it, say, over the next couple of years, have gotten to do the holiday version than have not got. So
I mean, just think in 3 years from now, let's say you've had 3 trips, right?
Yeah.
Or 4 years from now, you've had 3 trips. You got to think to yourself, as you've done it several times, let's say it's a good attraction, but it's not mind-blowingly amazing, right? You still go on it because it's fun and it's exciting, what have you. In 4 years from now, you'll be like, you know what? I really wish I did get to see the Christmas version of it, right? So, I mean, it's. I mean, not that you can change it, right? So it is what it is. You're not going to go on.
I know it's not like I'm going to be like, well, if I can't ride the original version, I'm not riding it. Like, of course I'm going to go on, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. So yeah, no, it's a fair point.
No, I'm down for it.
All right. Anything else about the holidays, or?
I'm sure we're going to talk about this more. I think we should talk about this once I officially start booking tickets, which is like in 2 weeks from now, right? July 7th, I think they go on sale. So I got to really dive in and find out. I think this is what we should do for future state. We'll take some minutes. We're going to write down all the itinerary of the show, like what are the things that you're getting, and try to put a dollar value on them and see if we can get to $150, $60, whatever it is, and see if it's actually worth it. But we'll do that for another
just
day.
So you know, and maybe I should add, so the general public, they do go on sale July 7th, but for people who have a stay at the Walt Disney World Resort, you can get them starting June 30th.
Oh, so I could buy this in 4 days then.
Yeah.
I did not read that small print.
So better get the cool down the credit card.
Yeah.
All right. So next topic that people are talking about is that on the 21st, so just this past week, Disney Plus had a live showing of Harmonious called Harmonious Live, and it wasn't just broadcasting the fireworks show, the nighttime spectacular. They were using, well, I think people are speculating it was pre-recorded, but they had a live orchestra there. They had live singers there. They had different performers coming from the different countries around, the lagoon. It was hosted by Idina Menzel. It was a big time production, and it was a live thing on Disney Plus, which is kind of cool. And they were, I guess, testing it out for future things that they're going to be doing live and stuff like that. So I guess my question is, did you watch it? And if so, what were your thoughts? And then I guess wanted to chat a little bit about how maybe this changed people's view of the show a little bit.
I did not see it. I loaded up on Disney Plus this morning to watch it, but like my whole family wasn't around. I was like, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch this like twice, right? I want to watch this once, and we were going to watch it this evening, and our schedule got away from us. But I like these type of events, and I think Disney should do more of them. Well, I'm assuming you had seen it because you're bringing up this question.
Yeah, I watched it live. The kids were in bed because it was at 9:00, but I did watch it live. I thought it was really cool. I think it was really well done. Whether it was they were lip syncing to pre-recorded or not, whatever. There was tons of people involved and cameras cutting back and forth, showing different views. They had this giant crane that had a camera looking at it like over Spaceship Earth and stuff like that. It was a really well done, high quality production. Chatting about it with people online, it was interesting because a lot of people like Harmonious. There are a lot of people that do not.
Yep.
And for some people, this did change their view of the show a little bit. They liked this better than the show by itself. So for some people, it made them like the show less because they're like, well, I like this version, so now it makes the actual, the regular show seem less.
Right.
But I think they had a little bit more dialogue about the show, a little bit more introduction and stuff like that. So I think it made the storyline or the focus or the theme of the show a little bit more apparent to people. And so I think some people did appreciate it a little bit more than in the past when people were like, oh, it's just a bunch of IP on a screen or whatever. So I think that was kind of neat. Obviously, for some people, it still didn't change their view. But I think it's an interesting opportunity just for, it got more dialogue going on about the show. And I think people appreciated it. And if you're not able to get to Walt Disney World, it's a neat way to experience one of the big new things they have there.
I mean, it's free advertisement, right? For Disney, for people that have Disney Plus, whether they got it from free for a year from like Verizon or whatever deal that they got, or you get it because you want it. I'm surprised they don't do more advertising for their parks, right? I mean, they got to be careful, obviously, not to have commercials on their streaming platform that you're spending money on. But, one of your last question here is, should Disney do more live events on Disney Plus? And absolutely. I don't think they fully no other streaming platform has stuff to do live, right? Like Netflix. What's a live event for Netflix? It could be anything that's random, right, that they could put on there. HBO or Paramount Plus or any of that. There's nothing really attached that you're really interested in live events.
Yeah, unless it's some sort of sporting event that you watch.
Right,
through
of
there.
course.
Like Peacock has stuff and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that to me that's completely different. But Disney has a unique experience. Like, streamers make so much money walking through the parks. We were watching Resort TV 1 today, my daughter and I, and we happened to catch him walking, taking the Skyliner to Caribbean Beach Resort, where we're going to be staying later this year. And I thought that was like, why doesn't Disney do this in different ways? Like, why not have a cast member and not be intrusive? Like he has like a film crew following a person around the parks, but like just like a selfie cam, that type of thing. And maybe put like cameras throughout the park so you can see different angles and truly make it like almost a reality show watching somebody go through the parks. But not it be corny, but like it be, I don't know, Disney corny, I guess, like with full of magic and amazing stuff. And that I wouldn't mind putting that on and just having it on in the background and it be a Disney product, right? And that's what I would, not that I dislike watching different streamers, do that type of thing, but it's not an official Disney product. And I think that would be cool.
Yeah, and Disney could even have show different angles that the public can't see. Like, I don't even know if they could show this, but you could show it from like the cockpit of the monorail or something like that. Like where Disney can get cameras that the general public can't. So,
I mean, I'm thinking like the red zone on the NFL channel, right? Or the NFL, if for those that don't know, the red zone basically shows 6 games all at the same time, and they always break away to the game where there's a scoring potential type of thing, right? So Disney should have just like streaming all day long in their parks, and just like you could tap over to what's going on in Epcot, what's going on in the Magic Kingdom today.
Yeah, you have like 6 small screens at the bottom, and whichever one seems to have like a performance going on or whatever,
or something like that. I mean, I think that would be even if they wanted to sell that for like $3 extra a month, the Disney Parks Live feed add-on pack. I'd pay $3 a month for that. I mean, it's a cup of coffee, right? It probably requires a lot of production and setup, but it's easy to produce, right? You're paying a cast member anyway to have them be somewhat personable and kind of go on your day, because they've got a lot of people that kind of do that storytelling type of thing. But I think I would take any kind of live events that Disney wants to put on Disney Plus. That reminds me of the park. I don't think they have enough park content on there
in general, for sure. Yeah.
But that's
all right.
what I'm thinking.
And the last kind of what is everyone talking about is that
people are talking a lot this week.
Yeah. Disney patents robotic Sherpas. So a patent came out, or people found a patent that Disney filed. The idea is basically they'd be like movable lockers. So instead of having lockers at the front of the park where you put your stuff, and then if you're in the back of the park and you realize you need something from your locker, you have to go all the way up to the front of the park. These little robot things, that one of them, it kind of looks like a mouse droid from Star Wars, would like follow you around in the park and have your stuff whenever you would need it. So if you need your ponchos, you could store them in there, and then it would find you wherever you are and give you your ponchos. So it's an interesting idea. The idea, but seeing the map and having like these little robot things go through it, like how are people not going to trip over all these things? Like how do we need that on top of strollers and ECVs and stuff like that?
That's my thought. Thinking like there's these little robots. I work with this stuff in my professional life, and the technology is excellent, right? It can go around, work its way through a crowd and get around. Obviously, there's tripping hazards at this point. Maybe if they make them tall enough that people will see them and not trip them over them. I find it interesting. I find the idea fascinating because it potentially could work. How much is it going to cost, and what are you actually putting in there? I don't know. Yeah. Because most of the baggage that people bring in are for small children. So that's diapers and all this other stuff, and you need that on hand. You can't wait for a robot not to be able to find you when you need to change a diaper, or feed an infant or a toddler, that type of thing, with snacks. So what are you actually putting on these things? Like a change of clothes?
Yeah, they got change of clothes. Do you have all your camera equipment with you? Ponchos? Like if you buy stuff,
I've never used the lockers. I know people use them to put
food in. We didn't really use them much either. I think maybe sometimes, like if you're coming right from the airport or something like that, maybe put your bag in there or something like that. But we really weren't big locker people, so I don't know. But yeah,
if you're a locker person,
I was wondering if it could even replace like the whole, that service like they used to have where if you bought something at a store, they'd bring it to the front. You could pick it up at the front. They replace that with this?
I don't think that's efficient anyway, though, at that point. Use a robot to do that, because the robot's just bringing it to the front somewhere, and somebody still has to drive it over to your resort when you buy it. I think it's a fascinating idea. I just don't know what the application is going to be. Like, are you going to charge somebody, because that robot's going to follow. You got to charge them by the hour. I'm on a robot that I can beckon for 5 hours, and it's going to cost me $30 an hour. It's going to cost me $150 to do what exactly? Yeah. If it's bringing me beer and drinks wherever I am in the park, I'm down, right? I'll have.
That's a good idea. I was thinking maybe it could also be your photographer, take you pictures of you.
You know what? You got to build stuff into it. But then again, Magic Band Plus that are still not coming out. It's $30 and they're not really doing much. So I don't have much faith in this aspect of things.
If I had to guess, I think this is one of those things where they're working on the technology, and when it actually gets implemented, it's going to be for something completely different.
Oh, probably.
But this way they're patenting it so nobody else can do it.
I know they have the tech, though, for droids to be driving by themselves around like lands. Like I know they've done that because they do that on the Star Cruiser a little bit. So this is just one level above that, I guess. I don't know. What's next, Phil? I know.
So no new Discord members this week. Yep. We have had some good engagement. And actually, I don't know if it's coming from our TikTok feed or from that I was commenting during the Harmonious Live that got some good reactions. But we've had quite a few new subscribers to the YouTube channel this week.
Awesome.
So I'm definitely glad to see that. Keep that coming.
Yep. We're making some. You've been very famous on TikTok. The first video that I put on there last week got like 5,000 views. And then I had to pin it, and then I got like another 1,000. So that's pretty good. So for all those that are watching on YouTube, welcome. And thank you for watching. Like and subscribe and everything else like that. Okay, so for this week, our top 5 clickbait lists for the week. We're going to talk about top 5 rides to skip on your next trip to Walt Disney World, or potentially your first trip, right? So I put a caveat there unless you wanted to kind of say things. I kind of blended both of those together.
I did too, yeah.
So do you want to go one for one, or do you want to do actually for TikTok it's better if we do it all at once.
Yeah.
One, right? So why don't you go first, Phil?
Okay.
I went first last week.
So I thought about this thinking, which rides are you either not giving the top experience right now because of maybe maintenance or something like that, or just because of the lines and stuff like that are currently going on right now. These are rides that I don't think you're getting your maximum benefit from doing. So I would skip these.
Oh, that's interesting because I didn't even think about like what's happening right now. This is more of I put it as more of like a general kind of sense, but this is even smarter for this type of list. That's good.
So my first one, and actually I think this is the one that overlaps with your list, is Tower of Terror. Right now, well, actually, I think they just opened up the other elevator, but that's just because then the other one's going to get worked on. So for a while, most of this year, only one elevator is going to be working on Tower of Terror, really ramping up lines, making it a higher priority lightning lane, which means you can't get anything else. So while I enjoy the ride, I don't think now is the time. 2022 is not the year to do Tower of Terror.
And that's just based on line size for the most part.
I think that, and also, while it's a really good ride, one of my favorite rides, one of the best themed rides, it's also not necessarily a ride the whole family is going to do. Mm-hmm. So it's not like a must-do type ride for me.
I have another take on it, but I'll save it for my list.
My next one, which might surprise people a little bit, is I said the Jungle Cruise. As many people know, this is actually my favorite ride at Disney World. However, the lines have really become unbearable now. They're not running as many boats as they can. They've been doing training during the day. It has to become such a priority for you to like fit it in and strategize that I think it just makes you not able to do several other rides at Magic Kingdom for you to get Jungle Cruise done.
Are you doing now? Now, let me interrupt you. Is your Jungle Cruise advice for people that are coming back for their second, fifth, 10th trip, or is this first timers?
I would say for everybody, but especially, if you've done the ride and you like the ride, but maybe it's not an absolute must do, I would definitely skip it now. Okay. Even if you're a first timer, you're either quote unquote wasting one of your lightning lanes for it, or you're standing in a long queue that really doesn't have a lot to see, that just kind of switches back. It's not a very good queue. I just don't think, while the ride is great, it's still enjoyable. The overall experience is not tip top right now.
Okay.
I put Test Track on here. Again, I think it's a fun ride, but it's not the most reliable ride. It goes down a lot. So if you're in the queue and it goes down, that's it. If you're trying to plan around what time, return time you're going to have for a lightning lane, it could get changed. I just think that it's a hassle very often to get on. I think one caveat is if you're willing to do single rider, that's a good way to do this. But otherwise, again, I think, there's 3 rides that right now are really useful to get a Genie Plus lightning lane for. I would focus on the other 2, Remy and Frozen, and just skip Test Track.
Fair enough. Okay.
The last 2 are more maintenance related, I guess. I put Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. I just think it's really not operating well. No. I have no idea what I'm shooting, if it's actually working or not. And with the new movie out, there's all rumors about them either retheming this or retheming another ride. It's just, I feel like this isn't a great experience tied to a brand new sort of movie experience. It'll feel underwhelming after watching the movie.
Okay.
And the last one also pains me to say, but Spaceship Earth. I know it's such a classic, but if you've never ridden it before, you're going to go in, you're not even going to be able to see the projections of the cavemen. Like half the animatronics aren't working very well. It stops a lot. Again, I just don't think you're getting the best experience of Spaceship Earth. And if you've never done it before, doing it now will be like, I don't get it. That wasn't great. That was not a good ride. And if you've done it before, you're going to ride and go, wow, this is really not what it used to be. Yep. So those are my 5 rides.
All right. Phil, if you could bring up some of the new subscribers from our YouTube channel, I think we should give them a shout out and some thanks. So while you do that, I'm going to go over my top 5 list. My first one is, let's just do Tower of Terror, because that's an overlap right there. I don't think you do Tower of Terror because if you're telling somebody for the first time you're going to Disney World, and if that's like something that you could be looking at to do, it's not particularly a Disney-themed ride. right? It's why can't I think of Twilight Zone theme? And if you're there for a Disney vacation, that's not going to kind of scratch your Disney itch. While it is an attraction that's very popular and fun, it's not the most Disney one of all of them. So that's kind of the reason why, like, if you're going there for the first time and you've got so much to do, that one's usually a long wait, and then it is what it is. Second one on my list, go to the top here, is Space Mountain. Even though it's iconic, right? It's kind of like you have to do Space Mountain when you go to Disney World. To me, there's other roller coaster attractions that are A, better, and B, feel good, right? I mean, I can remember my first time going on Space Mountain as an adult, and it's janky. It's the track's not smooth. It's in the dark, so you're not really getting an amazing themed experience, so to speak, right? So if you're there for the first time and you see it's an hour wait, if you're going to wait for an hour, go wait for an hour for Mine Train or Jungle Cruise or any of the other ones. And Phil, you're there you go. Sorry. What were you saying?
Yeah, I was going to say, or Big Thunder or something, because even in the same park, there's
Splash.
kind of similar thrill leveled rides that are probably a better overall experience for first timers.
I think out of all the mountains in Magic Kingdom, I put that one at the bottom just because of experience. Like, the other ones have better theming. The other ones have better thrills, in my opinion. So I'm with that one. My next one or third one is Peter Pan. And if you've been listening to the show, it's the most overrated ride and attraction with some of the longest lines possible. So for those two reasons, even if it's your first trip or your repeat trip, that is a sucker for rope drop target. It is a rope drop target for a lot of people. So don't be fooled. Go do something else, I think, at that point. I don't think the ride's very good as it is. Everybody's like, but the track is above you. I'm like, I don't really care. I'm still kind of seeing a giant diorama of London and then some scenes, and then it's over in like 20 seconds. Plus the queue is better than the ride, I think, in any case. Next one, number 4, is Frozen at Epcot. The only caveat that I have, if you're going to Walt Disney World for the first time and you have girls that love princesses, and I don't know if Frozen is in the top of the princess hierarchy now for young girls. I know for my youngest, who's now 4, she never really watched or cared about Frozen as much as anything else, but she loved Moana, right? So the ride is good, but the ride is not phenomenal. And it has long lines, and if you can't get a lightning lane for it, then it's really not worth your time. Unless you can get it, and it's like a short ride, just a walk-on type of thing, fine. But to me, I don't think it's worth the hassle of trying to get on. I don't think it meets the expectations of a Disney princess kind of dark ride, even though there's not a lot of Disney princess dark rides out there to begin with. So I would say skip that. And my last one is Soarin'. So I don't know if you're going to scream at me because of this one, but the reason I don't think Soarin's worth it is because I'm assuming you went on Flight of Passage at Animal Kingdom during your stay. And
right.
So this is that attraction's baby brother, so to speak. It was a great attraction, but I don't think it's worth the effort of trying to go over to that side of the park. If you've been, you're going around World Showcase, maybe you're not listening to me and going to Frozen and Test Track and you're going over to Guardians. There really isn't much on the other side of the park that's worth doing for first-timers because they don't have your nostalgia for living with the land. Journey into Imagination isn't the most popular attraction in the world. Nemo is not. I think Turtle Talk with Crush might be worth going over there, but if you're not over there at all, I personally don't think the aquarium is anything special. If you've been to aquariums before, but if you've never been to an aquarium, I guess that'd be fun to go to. But no, I don't think Soarin's worth walking over to that side of the park and staying in line for that whole thing. You have better things at that park to do. So that would be at the bottom of my list. If you're hopping, like you only have half a day there or something else like that. So that is my top 5. Anything that you want to crucify me for putting on the list?
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay,
I mean, I think Frozen is still a really solid ride. If you've never done it and you have kids, and I think there's a lot of good elements to that, I think it's worth trying to get a lightning lane for it. Mm-hmm. I don't think your trip is ruined if you don't get on, but I think it's I do agree with you that it's not worth like an hour wait. It's not the most exciting queue and stuff like that, but I think it's worth trying to fit in a lightning lane for it. And Soarin', I agree with you. If you're not planning on going over to that side of the park and you've done Flight of Passage, Soarin' alone isn't enough to go over there. I think the Land Pavilion as a whole is worth it.
Mm-hmm. I know Living with the Land is one of your favorite rides, so you'll never.
I think it's great.
It.
I think the pavilion just itself is great. It's an indoor pavilion. You can get in the air conditioning. It's got good food, food in there as well. And the one thing with Soarin' is typically it doesn't get ginormous waits.
That's true.
So I think it's certainly worth a 20-minute wait or whatever. But it's also not, like you said, if you've done Flight of Passage and you not otherwise weren't going to go to that part of Epcot, it alone is not worth the trip.
See, all my whole list is caveated with basically like if it's a walk on or it's like a 10-minute wait, all these rides are worth going on, right?
Right.
My point is if you have limited time and there's other things that you should be doing before this. So this would be on the bottom of my rides to skip.
And I guess my point is just of the 5 you listed, I think Soarin's probably the one that you'll be able to find with the lowest weight.
That's fair.
Acceptable weight. So
that's fair. Okay, Phil, this is this week's Ask Me Anything. Last week, I think you went first. So this week, I'm going to ask you anything. And I'm going to ask you if you could choose one attraction to use as an apartment for a month-long stay at Walt Disney World, which attraction would it be? And realize people are still going on the attraction. Okay? And the only other thing I'm going to put in there, each attraction is going to have a magical bathroom where you have privacy. You can take a shower and use the facilities and all that other type of stuff. But that's it. Like, you got to go find a place to sleep and everything else.
And food?
And food. Well, I mean, you could go out to the park and get food, right?
Okay.
Right?
I
So,
thought
I mean,
you
like,
meant
you're still
like
in a theme park, right? Like,
Okay.
it's still
just that's
fully
where
functional.
you're going back to. That's
Yes.
where you're sleeping that night. Okay.
I'm gonna give you a moment to think, and I'm gonna give you mine in my reasoning. Okay. So the place where I would live for a month or 2 weeks, whatever time frame, would be the Tiki Room.
Okay.
It's dark, it's quiet, it doesn't really get that jammed up, and there's plenty of benches and stuff to sleep on if it comes down to it. Right. So yeah, during the day you're gonna be interrupted. There's no like nook that you can go to kind of get away from people. But I think it's a smallish space that you could probably have a good night's sleep, if anything. So have you thought about?
So the first thought that came to my mind was actually Living with the Land.
Okay.
There's some different nooks you can find. There's the farmhouse. I'm gonna pretend that there's like an apartment in there.
No, that's cheating. No, it's literally just the attraction.
But you could find food on the attraction. So,
Okay, so you're looting Disney's farm. Okay.
I gotta get my cucumbers. Right? It's. I mean, definitely you got to pick something indoors. So there's air conditioning.
See, I thought about Living with the Land too, only because it's got a big wide open space. There's some probably areas where people aren't constantly walking past you. You can get some peace and quiet, most likely, because it's also a working like farm, basically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's a good option. I also thought it was kind of cheating too, because it seemed like the easy one.
Trying to think what else would be good. I don't know. There's probably a lot of nooks in like Spaceship Earth, and it's dark, so you could get some sleep.
That seems dangerous to me.
It's very high.
A lot of platforms in height, yes,
Yeah.
without any railings. But I thought that was an interesting question. But I think Living with the Land, you're self-sustaining at that point. The only issue is if you're in there and you want to grab a bite to eat, like it's tough getting out of there to get to the parks.
Yeah.
Right. So you have a hard exit. Now you're also on vacation. So my reasoning is in the Tiki Room, I can get out of that and be ready to go for my park day at Magic Kingdom. Right. So I have easy access to the parks. I just walk out and I could be first in line for Pirates or Jungle Cruise or anything else like that. That also went into my thinking. Now, thinking that you're going to start your day from Living with the Land to go to Animal Kingdom or Magic Kingdom or wherever you're going to go, do you want to change your answer? Or do you like being in that part of Epcot to start your day?
That's a fair point. I mean, there is at least good food there and stuff like that. The other option coming to mind would be the American Adventure. It's air conditioned, lots of places to grab a nap and sleep, and you come out right in World Showcase and can start your day drinking.
Oh, I like that
quite quickly.
I like that one. I think I want to change my answer, but I'm not. I'm going to allow you to have American Adventure. Maybe I'll crash on your couch or something else like that.
Okay.
So what is your question for me? Ask me anything, Phil.
So my question was, I thought about, with the Lightyear movie just coming out,
Okay.
that I almost added that to the what is everyone talking about, because people are chatting a little bit about how it seems to be underperforming at the theaters and why is that and stuff like that. But my question is, obviously the premise of the movie is giving backstory to this character that's in a franchise. So specifically a Pixar franchise. So my question to you is, what other character from a Pixar movie or Pixar franchise would you like to see a backstory movie on? So kind of the equivalent of Lightyear, but for a different character. It doesn't have to be Toy Story. It could be anything else.
It's a very good question. Run down some Pixar movies for me as I think about this, maybe, because I'm thinking Toy Story right now.
Yeah, so obviously all the Toy Stories, all the Cars.
I don't think Cars would be very interesting.
There's like Coco, there's Up,
Coco.
There's The Incredibles.
I mean, we got like a lot of the background stuff for The Incredibles already, right?
Right.
I think what makes Lightyear interesting, it's a toy that you know nothing about.
Right.
And then you get the background for him. I know a lot of people loved Lightyear and wanted a movie about Woody and his background, and his real life background, or the inspiration for him. I thought that might be interesting. You're really limiting me with Pixar, though. I can't really.
I mean, all right. Can you think of any from Disney? It's got to be animated, though.
It has to be animated.
Disney animation.
I mean, you can really pick some interesting ones, I think. You could think of. Let me see. I can't think of these characters' names. I want to know how Sven and what's his name? Kristoff met, and what their backstory is. I mean, we got a little bit of it when they were children, but I want to know what their adventures were for until they met Anna and Elsa, or they met Anna. As they were kind of going through their adventure. So I think that might be cool. You get some really good like rock and roll montages in there probably.
Oh yeah,
some good 80s rock. I don't know. That might be a cool movie to go through. Like his motivation. See, actually, no. Are we talking about just like the background of the character, or are we going to try to say like, because the Lightyear one's kind of interesting, right? Because it's a
I guess
toy.
It could be any sort of spin-off or something like that, but like not the main characters. I guess pick or just a different take on one of the characters.
What did you have in mind? Because I know you've got something.
So the first one that came to my mind that I think could be fun, and I was thinking of Pixar, is from Brave. Her father, the King Fergus, and the other two kings, Lord MacGuffin and Lord Macintosh, like they have like all those feuds and stuff like that. Almost do like a prequel, like about them and like their fightings and all their adventures and stuff like that, but set in that world. I think could be fun because some of their interactions were some of my favorite parts of that movie.
I mean, I think another interest. I mean, this wouldn't be a particular character, but like following the downfall of Earth from Wall-E, like what led us to that. I think that would be kind of a prequel movie. I mean, that's not a particular character, but I think that would be, I don't know, somewhat interesting. I think. Because now I'm looking at a list of Pixar movies, and now I'm actually thinking about some of these things. The father in Onward might be really cool, learning like spells and magic and stuff like that. And
that's true. I mean, that's a good movie. That feels like a world that could still be explored more.
I totally agree with that one. I mean, I liked the movie, but the adventure seemed. I don't want to say shallow. It was pretty good, but I want to know more about that world, and I think it's kind of it lends itself.
That could make for an interesting like Disney Plus series.
Wow, we're just coming up with some great ideas for Disney. Yes, I'm down for that. I'm down for that. Okay, so I think we're good for that question. Those are good Ask Me Anythings. I think we might need some. I don't want to prepare us for Ask Me Anythings, even though there's some dead air. I love surprising you and figuring out what your brain like throws up.
That's when we need to insert like the commercial break. So if anybody wants to sponsor us, that's when we'll ask the questions, then have the sponsor, and then we'll think.
Okay, but what if we do this? Why don't we do the Ask Me Anything at the top of the show, but we save the answer for the normal part of the segment? What do you think about that?
We could try that.
Try that.
That's kind of like combining with the cold open.
Yes, I dig that. Okay. Phil, where can they find us on social media? Let's remind everybody.
Social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at the DBC Pod, and of course, the Discord server.
Excellent. Okay, so this week on the DBC Discord engagement, this is an older one that we're kind of catching up on. for a couple weeks ago, and the question was, what attraction or IP themed bars or lounges would we want to see added to the parks or hotel somewhere? That sort of thing. You've got a couple there, or you got one there. What was your idea?
So I had similar ideas to some of what other people had. I think the something themed to the Haunted Mansion was the most common suggestion. The other one that I had that other people seemed to like was for the Tower of Terror. They have the Tip Top Lounge at the top of that. Actually make that like an actual lounge or something would be cool. The other one I had that I think would be kind of a fun one would be in Toy Story Land, have Andy's Mom's Book Club wine bar.
I like that. There's not many wine bars, but I think like a mom's book club, that would be actually really good. Because I take this question as we're not converting an attraction to
no,
to a bar.
It's absolutely adding
something,
not removing anything.
And the one that always comes to my mind is like a good like Oga's Cantina, like that's not limited in people. I would like to see that idea expanded, but that's kind of already done already, which whatever. I want the old Adventurers Club back. I want more Sam's Trader Sam's clubs, but like not for a resort, but like more people, more room. I would love to see like an outdoor tiki bar, adult funland, or whatever you want to call it.
Adult funland.
Yes,
I think that's something else.
Added to it. I could see a lot of other cool things. Like I could see something like name any princess that you like and create like a ballroom for them. So like Be Our Guest, but make it a legit like kind of like party kind of area where you can do some dancing, you can do some drinking.
Be Our Guest cocktail party.
Or maybe you could have Elsa's frozen, palace castle, whatever she called it, and then you could just do ice shots down like, these ice chutes or slides all day long. I know that might be kind of interesting. Like maybe not sanitary by any means, but maybe we could figure out how to make it sanitary for everybody. I like one of these that you had on here. Expand on this. Gaston's Tavern, that's actually a tavern. Would you keep it in Magic Kingdom or would you move it?
If we could keep it there, and even if it was like, okay, you have to drink inside the tavern, you can't take your beer outside, I still think it would be fun to have like an actual tavern there. This fed off one idea that Josh Foote on Discord had about in Liberty Square having like an actual Liberty Tavern that was like a real old time pub, like from colonial times, and had, dip your glass in the barrel and get your drink that way and stuff like that. I think similarly something like that by Pirates could be good too.
An actual Tortuga's Tavern type of thing. I mean,
there's how many things in Magic Kingdom have the word tavern in them but aren't actually taverns?
Well, I'd like to convert the Tangled bathrooms to the actually Snuggly Duckling that C. Fulmer 19 on Discord suggested. I think that's an excellent idea. Where you can actually start like. You could do that, but make it like a hoop-de-doo almost, where you have actors live just singing like songs and stuff like that. Like not exactly like show tunes, but like cool songs that everybody can do like sing-alongs with. It'd be really neat if they can make it fun enough where people who go in already know the songs, but they're not just like songs from like the real world, so to speak, but they're actual songs that are just, these are now Disney songs that you have to sing. And these are tradition. And there's like a 2-drink minimum or something else like that.
That'd be fun.
Yep.
One other idea that Josh Foote had that I thought was interesting, I'm not sure the exact setup, but related to Soarin', how you go to different places, have like some sort of bar or something that has beers from all the different places you go to in Soarin', and Doxy mentioned, or wines. So the idea is you have drinks available to you,
it's educational,
themed to the different locations you visit on Soarin'. And then I threw out a few fun ones, just thinking of like how things have looked in the past. So it's kind of retro things. So I thought, the idea of like the old sort of 50s, 60s cocktail party kind of came up. So bringing back the Monsanto House of the Future that used to be at Disneyland, but having that be the mid-century bar, or actually at the 64 World's Fair, the Africa section of the World's Fair had a circular treehouse bar. So it was like, let's just convert the Swiss Family Treehouse to a bar.
I don't know where you would put this, but I want to convert Mickey Mouse Clubhouse into an actual bar because I want either Goofy or Mickey Mouse serving me like a shot of Jack or margarita or something.
Hiya, pal. What you drinking?
I need that very much in my life right now. That would be absolutely amazing. I'm down with that for sure. Do we want to? This wasn't very well received on Discord. Everybody was kind of like, meh. But they were talking about catching up to current. Last week's one is, what were your expectations and hopes for Magic Band Plus functionality? I was hoping that maybe this might force Disney to actually put out their Magic Band Pluses. Yeah. But basically, everybody had the same old argument. Like, I don't know what is it supposed to do. I mean, it's $30. Like, in context, like, it's just going to be a Magic Band that you have to plug in now. It's going to be a pain in the butt. So basically, all the discussion kind of formed around that. I would love, and I think this is a TikTok moment, I would love for Magic Band Plus to be like a Fitbit. So this is what I ultimately want, and I have no idea why Disney hasn't started selling these things like hotcakes. I want to be able to know how many steps I've taken in the day. I want to be able to, it's a GPS tracker, so I want to be able to follow my path through all the different parks and what attractions I went to, what times, how long I stood online. I want all those metrics. I want to be like, oh, I walked 500 miles today. Oh, I spent 5 hours in lines. Maybe I should buy Genie Plus next time. So Disney could tie in to sell some of their products. I also want, based on that, achievements. How amazing would it be for like annual pass holders or people that go down multiple times to have one of these things, and the achievements like visit a Disney park on 100 times in 1 year, and like you gain that achievement, or have some like really rare ones where it's like you'd have to get this if you go to the parks like every day type of thing, or like simple,
or even just like that you went to every area, or like you had to visit certain things. Or I know my company had a thing where they were trying to promote health and stuff like that, so they were tracking everyone with Fitbits, but it was see over the month or 2 months, if it was, if you walked enough steps that would have gotten you to the top of Mount Everest.
Yeah,
that was
Fitbit
like how
does
much,
that type of stuff. Yep.
Yeah, so like if they did something like that to tie into Expedition Everest or whatever, like there's things they could do like that. I like the idea of like gamifying it like that.
I mean, like how cool would it be if you were in Animal Kingdom? Like if you walked, I'll pick a random number, 20,000 steps in a day, you get a free lightning lane for Everest, and that was like a hidden achievement that you could only get once. Right? Once you get that. Yeah. You're done. But different ways to earn things, like, go on 20 rides in a 24-hour period and get a free Mickey pretzel or something. Like, like those are like cheap things. Like Disney's not going to lose a ton of money if they have to hand out.
No, it's like what if you get the Ranger thing on with 999,999 Space Ranger, you get a button or something like that. But people go like nuts for it. So
I mean, if I can go on to see my Disney experience and see a list of achievements that I've gotten, I think it'd be cool. But then see a list of things that I'm either working on that are tracking and everything else. I'm like, so now not only are you going to you're planning for your trip normally, but you're planning on which achievements that you want to complete on your next trip. Like,
and then based on Disney math, if you're like really close to some, you like extend your trip by a day.
Right. I mean, like, I don't know, like with how Disney has not done this. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, this is super fun. Like, all right, I go to my wife, like, I think we need to go this weekend. I'm so close to getting X, Y, Z, like going to the parks 4 times a year. I think we can do it if we, like, I guarantee there's people out there that spend an absurd amount of money for digital currency and digital, not crypto, but like digital, like fake things that they get for
in games and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, like people spend tons of money for that type of stuff. Disney would have, your band glows a different color or the tap-ins, glow a different color, or announce like different things. Like, if you, let's say you've earned some really tough achievements, whatever they might be, right? I've done every ride at every park in a 48-hour period or something, whatever. Very, very difficult to achieve type of thing. Like, you can gain a title like, You ding into the park and it announces, everybody welcome Jason, the whatever. He has entered the park. And like everybody's looking around, what is that? I was like, well, I just spent $10,000 on two trips to get this, but I got it. And then that stays with them forever. And that people will keep coming back for that type of stuff. And then of course, obviously you can add new achievements like every day for people to do it.
I wonder if they are going to do some of that with the few things that they have announced so far. Like they've said it'll interact with the golden statues. I wonder if it will track, like you've gotten all of the statues and now you like get something for that.
The only reason why I would doubt
the bounty hunter stuff that you're going to have in Galaxy's Edge, will that track somehow through your phone and it'll get noticed somehow? I don't know.
Because there's only an RFID tag on these things. I mean, I guess that's how the The Harry Potter wands do something like that. Like they remember what spells that you've done or whatever. Isn't there like a tracking feature with their whole setup?
Is there? I didn't think so.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I heard something. I don't know.
Maybe that's why for the bounty hunter stuff, you have to use the phone too.
Right, because there's no data transfer off these magic bands. It's just a tag inside. That's why I'm disappointed it's only $30 and not an actual Fitbit where you can actually, attach your phone Bluetooth wise and kind of do all that stuff. Anyway, that's we talked more about that here than we did on Discord.
Well, I think because everyone was saying the same thing. It's like, well, I'm not excited about what's announced so far, and it is what it is. And I think it's also that it's just taken so long to come out. People were excited when it was first announced, and now it's kind of like, all right, I've seen all the statues. I've like what's I don't really see the point now. And then there was a report coming out that everybody's going to have their own My Disney Experience account to use them. Ooh. So meaning all your kids are going to have their own account. And so a lot of people are like, oh, well, I guess I'm not getting it for my 8-year-old, right? Like they're not going to have their own account. So I don't know. So now it seems like people are like, well, I'll get one for my family and we'll figure it out or whatever. But it feels like the excitement levels come way down.
Well, because they're so delayed, we don't know what it is. And so no one really
And
cares
what they've announced so far isn't really
interesting,
exciting people. Yeah.
Especially since we're more than halfway through the 50th celebration. And, this should have been out when you have the golden statues out there.
Exactly.
That being said, do you want to do this week's attractionality or do you want to save it for next week?
Why don't we save it for next week? I think
because we're at the hour mark and then we'll be rushing it. Okay. That being said, I think that's the show.
Next week's engagement topic, hopefully we get some more discussion about that, is what are you, and I'm putting in parentheses, realistically hoping gets announced at this year's D23 convention, which we are just over 2 months away from. So hopefully, some new stuff gets announced, but what do you think is realistic and what are you hoping to hear?
There's a lot of good potential on this question. But Phil has inserted the word realistically for a reason.
Yeah, and you can get a little you can be optimistic, but don't be like, a fifth gate, like things like that are just not going to happen. But you can be optimistic.
Yes, for sure. All right, guys, thank you for listening and watching. To all the new people on YouTube. Did you have the list of subscribers by any chance?
I do have that. Okay. So going back from what I see, Michael Zane, Tastes Like Disney, Drew Bassick, Dakota Reason, and Steve Garcia have recently subscribed. So thanks for subscribing, everyone.
Yep, thank you. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, hop on there. The links are in the show notes everywhere else that you can find us. You can just search it, or you just put the DBC pod after youtube.com and find us there. That being said, I think I've said that being said like 100 times already. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Take care, all.
Bye all.